Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Ring with the harmony of liberty. I began my life in New York City because my mother was a professional singer. She was a single parent, but my father is Teddy Hill. He was very important in the big band era. He managed Minton's Playhouse. And so he brought a lot of the great jazz artists of the day. My mother met this incredible person from Newark, New Jersey. And he was a piano player. And they started to work together, but they fell in love. Mother married my stepfather, Clement Mormon. And of course, I shortened the name Mormon to Moore. So that's who I am. And now there's music in the house all the time. Mother and Daddy rehearse in the house, and we all sang, and that's when we discovered that I had a voice. Some of my first jobs were as a piano player and singer. And then I ran into some wonderful people who got me into studio recording backup singing. One of them was Valerie Simpson. And so I just let the piano go. I let Valerie play the piano. And started just stand-up singing. One of the recording sessions was for the Broadway musical Hair. And they were still casting. When they brought us into the studio, it was being headed by, the lead performer was Galt McDermott, who was the keyboardist and the composer for the music of Hair. But he brought with him to help him do this recording of all the music from Hair, Jim Rado and Jerry Ragney. They wrote the book for Hair, and they were the two leading stars. It was Jerry. I don't think he even had any shoes on. He came up to me and he said, would you like to do Hair? I said, excuse me, I do not have a bachelor's of arts degree in music to do nobody's hair. And he explained to me that it was a Broadway show. And he said they were still casting. And that's how I got my first Broadway show. There was a feature part, or a little sketch, in the musical Hair, where we did a song called White Boys. And it was a parody of the Supremes. And that's what I started out as. And various vignettes throughout the show. They had so many different people playing the lead role, and they weren't happy with them. They kept changing them, but there were always white girls with blonde hair and blue eyes. And this young, very dark-skinned girl who played the role of Abraham Lincoln doing the Gettysburg Address, she said, why don't y'all give Melba a chance? That's how I wound up with the lead, but I also wound up replacing Diane Keaton. And that was my Broadway entree. I knew it was a first, and I got the front page of the entertainment section of the New York Times. The focal point of the media was that a black person was replacing a white person in a role on Broadway that had never been done before. Pearlie was my next first in that, well, it was my next play. I guess it was my second play. I got the role of Ludie Bell Gussie Jenkins in Pearlie. Pearlie was written by Ossie Davis for him and Ruby Dee. I became the first black actress to receive a Tony Award in the category of Best Supporting Actress in a Musical. I didn't know that. Well, I didn't know what a Tony Award was, really. I could not believe where I was. First of all, I didn't know anything about theater and the kind of heights you could reach in that. After Pearlie, I did all of the best supper clubs. I did the Waldorf Astoria, all of the incredible rooms in Chicago, all over the country. I did all the best television shows. I remember so fondly working with Carol Burnett, B. Arthur, Cliff Wilson, Johnny Carson, everybody. I can't remember everybody. Well, the Melba Moore Clifton Davis show, of course, is another highlight of my life and career because I was in Pearlie, got a Tony Award for that, and down the road was my new love, Clifton Davis, in Hello, Dolly. He was in the chorus at the time, but Pearl Bailey was starring in the lead, and Cap Calloway was her leading man. I wasn't thinking about that. I was thinking, oh my God, I'm going to do TV with my boyfriend. I got to give credit to Blondie Brown, who's now Miss Gladys Knight's hairdresser, who always did my hair and gave me all those brand new first-time Afrocentric, fabulous hairdos. And then the music and the live orchestras, and Mom's Mabley was our landlord. The reason we didn't continue on is because I didn't really have management, neither did Clifton. We broke up. We didn't know how to take advantage of the opportunity and continue it. So that's why it didn't continue. The National Council of Negro Women and Dr. Dorothy Height began when I was on tour. I think it was a hiatus, having a little break, and I was watching television, and she was being awarded. And I said, oh, my goodness, who is that lady? I got her telephone number of the National Council of Negro Women and called her and spoke with her and asked could I come and meet with her. And I met with her, and I asked her, could I come out and just travel with her a little bit and see what they did. And they were having what they call the Black family reunions that she was doing in all the major cities that had large Black populations. I saw all the different programs that she was doing and the incredible people that she had around her, like Coretta Scott King, the attorney generals, the Black caucus people, all the different people in the government. And it was just incredible. Like, after a while, she said, well, Melba, you should sing something at the prayer breakfasts. And I said, okay, fine. She said, well, why don't you sing the Negro National Hymn? I said, oh, well, what's that? I didn't know about it because I was raised in the North in Catholic school, right? And I probably heard of it, but I wasn't familiar with it. I was with my husband then, and he was the head of my career, and we were with Capitol Records at the time. So I said, well, why don't we record this? And then I remember the A&R person's name was Scott Folks, and he was a Black gentleman, so he was sensitive to what I wanted to do. They had signed B.B. and C.C. Winans, which they were the first to be in what they call a secular record company, being religious singers, the whole Winans family. And so Scott Folks went and got me B.B. Winans to head the project. B.B. went and got Dionne Warwick, Stevie Wonder, Jeffrey Osborne. Okay, I'm not going to remember everybody. We got all these incredible people. Because I suggested, don't do it as a solo, because there would probably be a lot of people like me who did not know the song and would think it was my hit record. When we get as many artists as we could to share that, so we could make the point that it's our national anthem. And then, of course, Dr. Height got as the head of the Black Caucus to actually physically enter it into the Congressional Record as the official anthem, because at that point, I found out then it was not official. It was what we sang and we honored as the anthem, but it was not on record as the anthem. So I got to be the one to help put it on record. And part of the importance that it takes on now is that we want other people to do their versions of Lift Every Voice and Sing. We want everybody to sing it at different events. Cheryl Lee Rouse just sang it. A good example. We want that to continue. Well, music is always going to be very powerful in every movement. You still have to work to hold on to your identity, your individuality, and still remain, part of the wholeness. But you can't lose your humanity. And I think that's the role that music and the arts should play and will continue to play.